nice to be here, and thank you for your wonderful introduction. We want to thank the Theosophical Society for having us today. It's a pleasure and an honor, and I am really looking forward to sharing this wonderful information with you. Before we start, as a Native person, we always create a sacred intention for our lectures, our wisdom sharing, our ceremonies. So if you could just bear with me, I'm just going to do a sacred intention for our gathering today, and then I have some very wonderful information to share with you. Usually we do it with a smudge bowl and some sacred herbs, things of that nature. But today we're just going to do it with our wonderful intention, so please join me. I'm just going to just act as if I have my wonderful abalone shell, my sacred herbs that I'm going to be lighting, and then moving them up to the Creator. Wankantanka o Shimala o Chetalo o Chetalo. O wonderful Creator, thank you so very much for this beautiful day. Thank you for this sacred way of praying. Thank you for this wonderful journey we call life. We invoke for our higher self, our virtuous teachers in spirit, our holy medicine people, and all the wonderful beings who assist us in good and loving ways. We thank you so very much for this wonderful moment in time, this opportunity to be of service, and also we ask for all of our wonderful helpers to be so kind as to be here with us today to share their wonderful medicine, their healing qualities, their wonderful wisdom with us as we share this wonderful lecture called Medicine Men, Medicine Women, and Their Daily Spiritual Practices. So, ahom takwiasan. So this is our first slide that introduces us to the daily practices of the Native people or the Native healers, the mystics. And my name is Billie Topa Tate. I'm Mescalero Apache, and I'm the founder of MSI Wellness Center. I founded it about 25 years ago, and we're in Evanston, Illinois. And we're dedicated to creating a sacred space, one person at a time, through the indigenous training that I received in my wonderful Mescalero Apache training. Medicine men and medicine women and their daily practice, the journey of the medicine men and medicine women. And you'll notice in this photograph, this wonderful photograph, that there are three wonderful natives and they're looking out. I want you to know that when we started our training to connect with the Creator and the angels, the helpers, and Mother Earth, we were taught that when we are in worlds, and I'm talking about when you look at this, you'll see the mountains, you'll see the water, you'll see the clouds. We classify the water kingdom, the mountains, and the air, three different worlds. And when we are in these wonderful intertwinings of worlds that come together, they transform us and bring us into a great sense of oneness. And if you think about it, when you're standing on a ledge, looking out at the water and the sky and the forest and the mountains, you take a nice deep breath, and that comes automatically because your body is sinking in to all of those worlds that have great power. And in that place, you will find that you have a great oneness with all things. So we have a story about the Creator, that the Creator provided us with many gifts that were embedded in Mother Earth, and we can tap into them to provide us with a great sense of oneness that introduces us to something called mystical time. And I can ask you the question that when you're in a place like this, when you're looking out at the water and the mountains and the clouds and the wind and the smell of the trees and the smell of the earth, you reset yourself and retune into looking at all those things and becoming one with this great natural world. So this is very important for us And when we came into this world, we were learning to become stewards of the earth. And we call the land that we live on our spirit land, because it carries the spirit of the Creator. And so when we're going to start our lecture, just this first picture will tell you, you can look at their faces and they're in tune with all of the worlds that they're interacting with. It's a great power that we have even to this very day when we walk in nature. This is a drum that I made for my daughter, Monique Littledoll, and it's an Apache drum, and the drum has a dream catcher in it. I believe it's this one right here. And it takes us several months to make one drum because we put a lot of prayers into our drums, because the training we received was the drum. The drum is an energy tool that brings energy in to this world and projects it out to the world for qualities that the Creator provided for us in different ceremonies. And you'll notice that there is a wheel that's made out of quill, and it has 4 directions. And 4 directions, even when we are making our herbs, we have 4 people making it and 4 people singing the songs to awaken the medicine of the herbs. And then you'll notice that there are feathers on the drum. The feathers are a gift from our dear extended family, and we call that Toyoshbaye. Toyoshbaye means extended family. And the birds are Toyoshbaye, they're extended family, and they teach us how to look at things from the bigger perspective. And that allows us to have a great sense of calmness and a great sense of wisdom about what we're doing. It gives us great insight. So the drum is the heartbeat of Mother Earth, but it is also an energy tool to work with our spirit guides. And our spirit guides, are very important to us. People often say that they want to be connected to their spirit guides. Well, they are already connected to their spirit guides. The goal is to be able to hear them, because it's very important to hear them. And they do help us, they guide us and watch over us. And I remember when my teacher allowed me to use his drum for a few minutes. It was right before he was to begin a ceremony, and I asked for permission to sing a native song, and he said yes. When I started to beat the drum, I saw flashes of light surrounding me, and then I felt them on the top of my head where the crown center is. The wind started, and I felt that these wonderful spirits were trying to listen to the prayers or intentions that I had. I was very young, and this startled me at first, because everyone sitting around saw the lights right on top of my head and felt the wind becoming very powerful. My teacher said his drum was awakened by the Creator to help him with his prayers to place where his helpers can reside. And he called them the thunder beings. And I've seen them. It's really a very powerful thing to have a drum that's awakened. And when you drum the wonderful thunder, and it's just an incredible energy that comes from the medicine men and the medicine women, they dedicate their lives to be of service, to have these particular beings who assist them in healing energies and wisdom seeking. It's just an incredible situation. You'll notice that there's an abalone shell and some sage, and we know that plants have medicine, physical medicine that we can consume, for food and for healing our bodies, but also these plants can be used for spiritual energy. In other words, energy that will allow for your energy field to be cleansed through the smudging ceremony and many other aspects of ceremony. Geronimo was an Apache leader and medicine man, and he was a seer. He was a very strong individual. We have lots of wonderful stories about him. And he was a very strong individual, but a very wise individual. He shared a lot of his insights about, where we should go in the direction of our people. And he just was a seer that when we talk about things later as far as what he tuned into to be able to see so clearly about what was going to be coming in the future and what we can do and what is the best thing and wise thing to do. You can definitely see in a visionary the beautiful eyes seeing in the ethereal world. And so he saw that a lot. And a quote from his book is, "Wisdom and peace come when you start living in the life the Creator intended for you." And that's a really important quote. It really makes you think, well, I would love to start living the life that the Creator intended for me. How do I do that? Well, one of the reasons why a quote is so wonderful that it stimulates the thinking, it's energy that it stimulates, and it's intention, and it's an expressed desire for us to bring forth our want and desire to be in line with our great purpose. So how do you do that? Well, one of the things that's really important is to express a desire with your heart to be in line with your great purpose and to receive that information into your mind on a daily basis. He also said in his book, "I cannot think that we are useless or God," and we call it Usan, "would not have created us. There is one God looking down on us all. We are all the children of one God. The sun, the darkness, the winds are all listening to what we have to say." So he was a great seer and a medicine man and learned many things about the energy world. And what he's saying about the sun and the wind, and these are all living systems. They interact with us. The wind interacts with us. The sun interacts with our mind-body complex. So he's saying that all of these elements are not just here, they're cooperating and also coexisting with us. From Geronimo's book, My Life, he says, and this is something I totally agree with, we knew what herbs to use for medicine, how to prepare them and how to give the medicine. This they have been taught by Usen, the Creator, in the beginning, and each succeeding generation had medicine men and medicine women who were skilled in the art of healing, in gathering the herbs, in preparing them, and in administering the medicine. As much faith was held in prayer as in the actual effect of the medicine. There were forms of prayer and invocations to attend each stage of the process. And this is from Geronimo's book. The shield has the symbolic representation of blocking energy, and our winged brothers would help us. So the shield, and this is an Apache shield, and you'll notice that, it's circular. And we believe that the Creator works in spheres and circles, and that's why we use them a lot in our ceremonies. But also you'll notice that there's these beautiful eagle feathers on 3 parts of the shield. The winged brothers, which we call Toyoshbaye, extended family members, their symbolic energy is helping us to block and neutralize the energy that's being projected upon the person who's holding the shield. And these shields, you'll notice it's red. The Apache love red. Now, red represents the color of East, and the color of East represents new beginnings, new awareness, new knowledge, new beginning of life. And when the sun rises, we know we have a new day. So we believe that awareness and levels of wisdom that come to us through that awareness is our top priority, and that's why we use red so much. Sitting Bull was a Hunkpampa Lakota leader. He was a wonderful leader, and he was a very strong leader, very strong man, but he was a very kind man, just like Geronimo was a very kind person as well. And you can see the beautiful smile on his face, even though, he was probably being told to sit there for the photograph, but some part of him knew that this photograph was going to be seen by so many people that he did not know. And so through this projection of energy, he is projecting energy of, hello, how are you? We call it dagote. Dagote means to say welcome with our eyes, with our smile, with our posture. When we do ceremony, we want people, we start with what's called a welcoming ceremony. That means we acknowledge the person, we speak to the person, and we also acknowledge their name, which helps them to feel more welcome. But even in this picture, you can see that he is welcoming you today to get to know the indigenous aspects of our life. So there's a quote that he made that says, "Let us put our minds together and see what life we can make for our children." When you look into his eyes, you can see the universe and wisdom energy, which is very evident not only with the native leaders, but all mystics have this wonderful stance in their eyes. He was a great visionary and a leader for his people. This is Lozen. Lozen was a Chiricahua Apache wisdom keeper, and she was also a medicine woman. Lozen was a prophet of the Chiricahua Apache. She was the sister of Victorio, an Apache prominent leader. Lozen was a seer and was able to provide information from the energy world to her tribe. And there were a lot of stories about her, and when I read these things from many books, I can see the images that are coming from the book. And I saw her standing on land looking out to see where she needed to move the people for safety. So she was able to see ethereally to help her tribe to be safe. And we will review some of the elements of seeing into the energy world later in this lecture. Pretty Shield was a medicine woman of the Crows. The legendary medicine woman was a powerful healer and other facets of Crow womanhood. So wonderful that there's a book about her, Pretty Shield, that was given to her by her father, and she definitely had the capability of bringing together medicine for the tribe, but also a great seer in her own right. This is Wallace Black Elk, and this is my mother, Mama Little Wolf. She's my teacher, and she's come here to the Theosophical Society. She loves being here. And we were at an event, and we were with Wallace Black Elk. So Wallace Black Elk wrote The Sacred Ways of the Lakota, and that's a wonderful book he's written. Wallace said in his book that the purification of oneself is the first step in any major sacred undertaking. And what he really meant by that is our goal is to become aware that we are unaware. That's the first thing, is to acknowledge the fact that maybe we don't know everything and that there's things that we need to know. And when you're stepping into the Native American world, you're stepping into wonderful energy and a wonderful connection with the Creator. So Wallace Black Elk, he was a wonderful medicine man. I personally received a lot of wonderful information and training from him. He's just a really wonderful soul. And he worked with the thunder beings in ceremony. And you could see the energy around him when he was working with the medicine to heal people and to assist them in their questions. He was a great visionary and just wonderful. And my mother was definitely training me to be in the energy world, walk in different aspects of the energy world, to assist and to observe and to really receive a lot of training. And it's a very interesting and long process to really work with your spirit guides, and they're very wonderful, and they have so much to teach. So my mother was my first teacher and is still with me and still teaching me a lot of wonderful things. But Wallace Black Elk was always a good soul to really learn so much, and he dedicated a lot of his time and effort to help people to answer their questions and to do ceremony. This is Mama Little Wolf. She's Mescalero Apache teacher, and she's my mother. And we were doing a sweat lodge here, and she's walking the circle around the fire before. Now, inside the fire is the stones that go into the sweat lodge. And we also know that the stone people, they have so much to share with us. They're the first ones on the planet. You know, they have so many stories to share. And when I was a little girl and we were learning how to be in the sweat lodge and to purify our minds and our physical bodies so we can ask questions from our spirit guides, which are present in the sweat lodge, she's walking around the fire, and what she's doing is she's administering a piece of tobacco into the fire and making a sacred intention for her ceremony, for her time in the Inipi. And what happens when we ask for the individual to walk the circle and place the tobacco into the fire, the medicine man observes how the person walks this very short circle to make that prayer before they go into the Inipi ceremony. And this tells them how they are walking in life. Just that small little walk really helps them to see how they can be of service to the individual when they're in the ceremony, the sweat lodge. So just that wonderful little walk will tell the medicine man everything about your life, everything, because the way you walk that circle. It can be a difficult circle. It can be a wonderful, empowering circle. It can be a prophetic circle. It can be, a questioning circle. It can be a concern circle. And these things, this energy that you project, will tell the medicine man how to be of service to you when you're in the lodge. So Mama Little Wolf is a wisdom keeper, and she teaches about the plant kingdom. She's been teaching me about plants and the spirit of the plant and how to work with the spirit of the plant, which is in one of my books. And she's a seer into the energy world. And I'm going to talk to you so much about how that happens and how you can connect with the energy world. She taught me many things, but one that stands out out of all of that is about our breath and how to interact with the other kingdoms here on Mother Earth with what we call sacred timing breath. This is Mama Little Wolf on the Hopi Reservation with our dear friends. And she's making a prayer at Prophecy Rock. And the medicine woman works with the natural world because this opens up the window of mystical time and mystical timing. This allows our mind to connect with the ethereal wisdom and energy, and we see many virtuous things and wisdom-filled answers come to us. It takes time to connect with our teachers in spirit, but they are there to help us, guide us, and teach us. So one of the things that I would like you to see here is this is a sacred place. And it's wonderful because when you go to a sacred place, you're in tune with that higher vibration. That's a wonderful thing. But also you'll notice that she's going inward. And we believe that when we close our eyes, we are going into the energy world of spirit. And there's many things that transpire when we do this. But our goal is to really, and segue a little bit, because when I was receiving training on how to work with the dream world and the energy world, to walk those worlds, it was a very fascinating thing, and that my teachers would tell me a lot of things about what I was viewing. So, this is a wonderful picture. Here's a picture of Monique Littledown, my daughter. She was giving me a gift after I was teaching a class, a very important class. But please note that within this picture you will see one of my teachers in spirit. And right here you will see a beautiful spirit. That's one of my spirit guides, a teacher in spirit. And you'll notice that my wonderful teacher in spirit is looking at Monique and I, and there's the heart chakra of my teacher, and I see them all the time, but it's nice that this photograph was done so that you can see that there is this beautiful teacher in spirit here who is guiding me to teach the people. And it's wonderful to be able to have them help in that process. But I also felt that my teacher in spirit, his heart chakra was very active, because I was so happy to see that we were exchanging in traditional ways gifts to each other, so that we honor the service work that we do. How medicine men and medicine women receive assistance from their spirit guides. As Native people, we know the energy world is right next to us all the time. When we go into our inner self, ceremony, meditation, or sacred breath, we lift the veil even more. And as I said, when we close our eyes, this takes us into the energy world of spirit. And you know that because whenever you feel there's a very important question to ask, there's always a pause and then going inward, closing our eyes to ask questions. So we know that naturally through our mystical anatomy. Accessing the breath of Mother Earth takes us closer to the Creator and divine helpers. The timing of Mother Earth is the timing of the Creator. So, when I say the timing of Mother Earth, when we are standing outside and looking out and feeling the wind and the trees, we call the trees the tree nation. They are very important. They not only give us oxygen so we can survive on this wonderful planet, but also they carry a tremendous amount of wisdom and provide us with great insight. So when we connect with the air, the wind, the clouds, the water, all of the rhythm of the natural world, we actually become one with these wonderful things. And they help us to gain great insight, and all of the things fall to the wayside so that we can hear this great wisdom that can be for us in stress or whenever we have a question that we need answered. Remembering we are part of the universe, the Creator, is so very important. We are definitely connected to the Creator, and we have these beautiful guides. Every single one of us have these wonderful guides that help us all the time, or can. Service work for the tribal members and the neighbors will bring more wisdom into our mind. When there's a necessity, as my teacher would say, where there's stress, there's focus. Where there's focus, there's potential for resolution because we're focusing on it. And so when we're doing service work for a need, something comes from that, and an answer or a resolution or an insight. Elevated language. The medicine men use elevated language to speak to the Creator. Elevated language, or what we call enlightened language, helps us to adjust our vibration so we can hear and understand more wisdom. Let me explain. So the language that's used by medicine men and medicine women to connect and speak with the Creator and our spirit guides and spirit helpers. We also connect with our luminaries, and the word luminaries to us means lights from the source. Why would we want to do this? Because with this, we gain great insight, resolution, and we mature through this connection. I know my own personal experience that just in the presence of these wonderful helpers and teachers in spirit and all the wonderful beings who assist us in good and loving ways allows for the mind to connect with that great power, that great insight, that great wisdom. And we, through that stream of energy, we become one with that wonderful wisdom. It's an all-knowing and all-seeing place. And from this place, we can understand many things about things that we have questions about. Some words have light and most certainly energize every aspect of who we are and how we think. Words contain vibrations and frequencies and possess qualities. That is why I choose my words very carefully to infuse my energy field with the appropriate energy to elevate my well-being at all levels. When we use enlightened language, we can also teach the mind-body complex to verse things in wiser and non-negative manners. How can you develop enlightened language? One way to do this is through meditation. And there's different types of meditation. There's so many different various categories of meditation. But the types I was taught was designed to really develop my abilities and also my wisdom with the help of my spirit guides, divine helpers and virtuous teachers in spirit. So meditation is an active process, and it really, you seek your own illumination through that, joy and productivity and also accountability and effort. So think the words that help you manifest what you truly are looking for. My teacher said to me a long time ago, the first thing that dies in a sentient being is the spirit, and the next is the energy field, the energy of the body. The lesson tells me that we must take time to feed our spirit in good, wisdom-filled ways. It is good to generate wisdom-based energy with an intention. Intention, which is good and wise, can propel our happiness. Everything that grows in a good way and productive way is through our intention first. And of course, a gentle discipline for the development of our spirit. And my teacher used to say that, you can't be a dancer and just sleep all day. You have to do something, right? So, so that's the way, and we know that, we understand that we're out and we're doing all these wonderful things as busy mystics. But in order to develop that connection with your guides and your teachers in spirit, we must have to have that intention and that interest to do so. Not just for a minute, but throughout our lives. My life is really about being of service and being connected to my guides and understanding, my purpose in this world. And it allows you to have this great excitement in life when you do that. So let me list out some things that I've extracted from observing my teachers, my native teachers, my medicine woman mentors, and I want to just express a couple of things that would help you to assist you in your beautiful work. The journey of the medicine men and medicine women, we were taught by the Creator and the Creator's helpers, shared wisdom about ceremony to cleanse our mind, body, and spirit and lift the veil to access the world of energy and spirit. Our drums and our medicine pouches are energy tools. Our medicine pouches have fringe on them, and also you'll notice behind me I have my Regalia, we have to, at our rites of passage, learn how to make our regalia, our boots. We do that with lots of prayers and a lot of wonderful energy that goes into our drums and into our regalia. So we make that as part of our rites of passage. And so you'll notice that there's a lot of fringe on here, and it's symbolic and it represents the ethereal world, but also the physical world. So when we wear our regalia and when we were in our attire and, when we had our teepees and everything, we would have this long fringe on our medicine pouches that would be attached to our hip and wear our attire. And the fringe would go in front of us so that the animals knew that we were coming by having the fringe go before us, and they would know that we were walking the path and moved to the side. So it was just our way of letting them know that we were going to be going along the path. If it was a rattlesnake, you would say, okay, it's a human being, so we'll just have to move to the side, things like that. And also, it represents personal power. The longer the fringe is, the more medicine that person can acquire and bring into this world. And also, it represents the wind, and that's my totem. My totem is the wind, Topa Tate, that's my name. My name is also Wazayata, wind that sings. So I love the wind. The wind is part of my totem to help me in this world. And so we have the medicine pouch. And what happens with our medicine pouch is it is very much a containment of things that we know has energy and power for us. Maybe a gift from one of our elders, a stone from a very sacred place, or some herbs that, maybe we were walking on our path and the herb said, please take me so that you can use me at a later time. Because how we learned about the herbs is the plants kind of told us what they do or what we shouldn't be using. Maybe they have more intensity, like the flowers on a saguaro cactus can be very beautiful, but they will tell me out loud, very straight, it's a very powerful energy and should not be tasted because it has a lot of powerful energy and it wouldn't be good for your kidneys. So the plant actually tells you that. And then there are other plants that would say that, that they're very good for food, nutrition, healing, cleansing. So it's a really great thing. So we have in our medicine pouches things that are very sacred to us. But after a couple of years, we offer those up to someone else because we want to share those medicines with other people. And you'll notice we have different herbs that, like the sage is here, and the drum has a beater. And the beater has fringe on it, and that represents more wind, more of the thunder beings, which we ask for them to come for the songs that we sing. So how do we access this connection, as a busy mystic? Here's a picture of me talking to the thunder and the angels of the weather, and yes, there are angels for the weather, to provide safe travel home. So when there was a group of people that was with me, we're on top of a mountain, and I was calling to the thunder beings and also the weather helpers and asking them for safe passage. And they told me that tomorrow would be a better day. Now, sometimes we can ask and receive, yes, we'll clear the area for you. You can leave in a couple of hours and all things will be well. And sometimes they tell us tomorrow is another day that would be better. And the reason why that happens is because there is something that is very important that needs to happen that we cannot interfere with. So we honor that and we respect that. And so I was, asking for safe passage, and they were being so kind as to tell me that tomorrow would be a better day, and I truly appreciated that. Sometimes we get caught up in our fears and limitations and forget who we are and why we are here on Mother Earth. And I can tell you that I've been on this mountain many, many times. And one time when I was traveling there, I got a phone call and I looked at the phone and I thought, oh, this is a phone call that is probably a little sad. So when I answered the phone, my dear friend told me that one of my teachers had just passed. And I was on my way to this mountain. So I sat on this mountain and I looked out. And I said, okay, so my teacher's physical body is gone and he is in spirit. Right now, I'm not very happy about that. However, I want to hear the wisdom that you have to give me so I can be part of the plan that you have, Creator, for him and for me. So when I got finished, I was not in despair, but I was looking to hear the wisdom that I did not have at that moment. So, but I did express in the beginning, I said, I wasn't very happy with what just happened. However, I do know that there is some insight. I don't have it right now, and I invoke to have it so I can be part of that plan that the Creator has. And so when I got finished with my prayers and took everyone back to their lodging, I received that information immediately. And I knew exactly, and I was greatly pleased to receive all that information. So remember, you walk the earth with a deep knowing that you have and are spirit, and the Creator's energy runs through our veins, which is so true. Sometimes we forget that, we're not a bundle of nerves reacting to the world, and that, we're not getting up in the morning to have coffee before we head out to what we're doing. We are definitely more than that. And, when I talk about how we're going to address elevated language that you can bring into your daily practice, you'll see what I mean. Remember to acknowledge the other kingdoms on the earth. They will start to not only acknowledge you, but also help you and begin to teach you their wisdom. The other kingdoms are the animal kingdom, the plant kingdom, the crystal kingdom, the water kingdom, the air kingdom. They're all part of the kingdoms we interact with. And when we acknowledge them as that, they acknowledge us in a special way and know that we are awake, and they start teaching us, they start guiding us. It's just a wonderful thing. If you think about water has been on this planet since the inception of this planet. And this water is clean. How does it get that way? It's been with us for a long time. And we put chemicals in it, we put sewage in it, we do all kinds of things to this water. And it travels time and space. It goes up to the clouds, it goes through the mountains, it goes through all these kingdoms to cleanse itself again. So it can be medicine. We know that water is one of 12 sacred foods on the planet, and it will always do what it's supposed to do. It nourishes us, cleanses us, and we can't live without it. So when we interact with the kingdoms in that way, they give us so much more. For example, if I was to be teaching a class and I needed another glass of water, I could do it in two different ways. I could say to the person that's in the class, would you be so kind as to get me another glass of water? And that person would say, oh, that's so wonderful. She was so nice. And they would go and grab the glass and fill it up and be having all of these nice thoughts that I was nice. And I asked for that person to be so kind as to get me some water. Well, not only am I receiving the water, but I'm receiving the energy that is going into that water. That's one of the things that the water does, because it is really structured as a substance to absorb qualities, which is really a very interesting thing, because when we do our water infusions and we put our plants in here and we say prayers to the water, it absorbs the medicine of the plants, and we can drink the water, and it's very good for our bodies. And we do that as Apache people. But if I was to say to a person in class, hey, you, go get me some water. They would go get the water, but they would say, well, that wasn't very nice. She ordered me to get this water, and so something else is going into this water instead of just the water. So you see, energy is very real. It's a very real thing. And also, it's wonderful for us to acknowledge this water because it's a very miraculous tool. When we're in doubt, be still and be quiet, and go into the stillness to be with the Creator and the divine helpers. It is okay to ask questions, but more important, to be quiet, to hear the answer. And with sacred breath and peace, the Creator and your spirit helpers have wisdom to share with you. So let me share a little bit about what I would suggest as far as some of the things that I've learned as I observed the native medicine men and medicine women. When you close your eyes, you go into the energy world of spirit, and we can navigate that energy with our intention to connect with the source of all light and wisdom, which is the Creator, and to our virtuous helpers. It is their job to help us evolve, and they do such a wonderful job. There is a principle in the universe that says that the Creator wishes for all things past, present, and future to go to its highest level of vibration and energy. And so the helpers, that's their commitment to that whole principle. And when we add Mother Earth's sacred timing of our breath, we take it to the next step of our evolution. The medicine men and medicine women work with the natural world, for within the natural world is an additional gift called mystical timing. Mystical timing, why is that important? Well, because it allows us to break free of any fears, any frustrations, any concerns, and brings us into a place where we can hear. Because it releases us from emotional vocabulary. So emotional vocabulary means that in our mind we're so concerned we're adjusting our frequency to a place where we cannot hear. And that blocks our knowledge of sacred help and evolution. Mystical time is when we have time and space that only contains the wisdom traditions. So let me explain mystical time. As an example, when you were a little person on your bike, you didn't have to go anywhere, you didn't have any commitments, you didn't have to pay any bills, all you knew was the wind was in your hair and you were on your bike and having a good time. Everything else, there's time and space is not there anymore. So when we are, the original picture I showed you, those wonderful indigenous native people looking out at the water, the ocean, the water, the mountains, the clouds, brought them into what is called mystical timing. So mystical timing allows us to be in that place where it relinquishes bondage of all stress. And also finding stillness and becoming aware of our energy and enhancing our energy by connecting with that mystical time. So putting it all together, you want to know that when we want to speak to this beautiful source of light, which we call Usan, the Creator, we want to make sure that we are in a place where we can release ourselves from the bondage of emotional vocabulary and speak enlightened language. Enlightened language means when I speak to my guides, I am very, very respectful. I'm very honoring. I don't order them around because they're not bellhops in any way, shape, or form. But what I can do is I'm speaking from my wisdom place to their wisdom place. And I'm asking questions to see what it is that I need to learn so I can mature and I can step forward with wisdom and great insight, not only for myself, but for others. You see, whenever we're placed in a stressful situation for others, places us in a sense of great need. And when we do that, we can go into what is called the surrender energy, or the surrender factor, where we can surrender ourselves and know that we are not a bundle of nerves. We can respond. We can connect with the Creator in such a powerful way. And I certainly know that when we're in that place, as my teachers would say, it's a little hard to keep them on the farm when they've seen Perry. Well, when you are in that energy, you know it's very real and it's very, very productive. And why wouldn't you want to walk with your teachers in spirit to ask them questions, especially when you know that those answers will be extremely profound. My experience with them is that when they say something, they don't have these long conversations. They say maybe 2 or 3 words that change your whole life. It's just a remarkable thing. So when we connect with the kingdoms, like the water kingdom, when you go by the water, touch the water, bless the water, acknowledge the water. When you drink the water, even when I'm swimming, I'm saying I'm so very happy that we're together and I'm experiencing this beautiful experience, because the water transforms your vibration into a place of peace. That's why we love being in the water so much. And also the clouds. We enjoy the clouds. They're ultimate potentiality to us. So we allow them to flow through us and around us so we can balance ourselves. You can do that too. So when you're out in nature and you feel like, okay, I've got about 5 minutes, you can sit and just close your eyes and breathe in the breath of life, and also to focus on the timing of the trees and the wind, and ask for your helpers to be there with you to answer any questions that you might have. I would start with one question and just be still. Just have that quiet time. Now, how do you do that? Well, you focus on the sound of your breath to allow for that beautiful insight to come into your mind. Elevated language means that we use realistic, wisdom-filled words when we speak to our helpers, to ourselves, to people. I remember walking into my grandfather's place, and I was just a teenager, and I said to my grandfather, I said, "Grandfather, I had so much trouble parking my car. It's just so much trouble." And he just smiled and he says, "Well, sometimes the Creator gives us our challenges." And I thought, you see that? That's that enlightened piece of information. Instead of me saying, "Oh, it's so hard to find out parking," the Creator gave us our challenges today. What am I going to do with that? And so with those words from my grandfather, shifted me back and said, "You're right, grandfather, and I'm going to know the wisdom of that moment." So enlightened conversation brings your thoughts into a better perspective. I was talking to someone 2 weeks ago when the snow was so intense, and the person said, "Well, the snow, it's just so intense. What am I doing living here? All of this." And I said, "Well, at least we know who's truly in charge. And that Creator's much more smarter than we are. And also, this too shall pass and spring will come. So it'll be okay." So that's enlightened language. It's realistic, but it's also much more into the state of wisdom of who we are and what's really going on. So it's really important to be connected to elevated and enlightened language. The crystal kingdom, it's a wonderful kingdom. We were told by our spirit helpers that crystals were harnessers of light. So true. They harness light, and they were the first kingdom on Mother Earth. They also are constant conduits of spirit and are here to help us empower, enhance, transform, and cleanse ourselves and others. They are also extended family members of the stone kingdom, so they are definitely Toyoshbaye for us. I'd like to share several stories using the crystals to have more ethereal sight and connect our divine helpers. we come from the desert. We're Mescalero Apaches. I love the desert. And it was very interesting. My mother, Mama Little Wolf, she was so insightful about teaching me so many great things about our indigenous culture. One was that a crystal, a very small crystal, could be placed here on the third eye with a bandana. And a lot of people thought we just had the bandana there to keep the sweat out of our eyes while we were traveling in the desert. Well, that's not true. We would put a wonderful small little crystal on our third eye and place a bandana so that it would enhance our ethereal sight. Our ethereal sight to see where water was a great distance away. We would see parts of land that were not physically there. We were able to see where plants were thriving, that we could travel to those places as we traveled to our next camp. So it's very, very wonderful. Now, that's just for traveling, but ethereal sight can be to look at things that might be or have a potential to be in the energy world and to discuss it with the leaders of the tribe to see what we could do to either safeguard ourselves or move to another camp. So so one crystal on the third eye that way could remarkably do so much to the ethereal sight. My story about Grandmother Eagle. Grandmother Eagle, she was very, very elderly, and she was with my other dear friend, Blue Star. So and I was just a young girl. I was maybe about 14 years old, and I thought I had a lot of energy. Well, I was with them all day, climbing the mountains, collecting herbs and everything. And at 10 o'clock, I was pretty tired. I was sitting in between Grandmother Eagle and Blue Star. And I thought to myself, I can't keep my eyes open. I am so tired. How are they staying so healthy, so alive? And they were laughing, and they were saying, "Okay, next, let's at 11 o'clock, let's make the dinners for tomorrow." And I just said, I just have to put my head down. So I put my head down on Grandmother Eagle's lap. And she stopped talking to Blue Star and said to Blue Star, "I think she's a little tired." And I couldn't keep up with them. So Grandmother Eagle took her stones that she was wearing around her neck, that was turquoise and malachite. She took them off of her neck and she put them around my neck. And in 2 seconds, I sat right up and I had so much energy. It was remarkable. It was like I wasn't tired at all. And I was so surprised. It was like, how did this happen? And I looked at them and I said, "Are these blessed or what is it?" She goes, "Oh no, those particular stones will do that for everyone." And of course I gave it back to her, even though I wanted to keep them. But the goal was the story is really about that the stones have a tremendous amount of energy and do things. It's just really wonderful. The story of my rose quartz and activating the heart center. So in the mystical anatomy of our energy field are these energy fields. So the crown center, the heart center, we know them in different words, but they are present. My teacher gave me a beautiful rose quartz and said that this would activate my heart center. And I said, oh, that's wonderful. And he said, the heart center, when it's fully activated, will expand the crown chakra even more. And I heard that. So I was doing a little, energy work on a family member. And I thought, well, I'm going to get this rose quartz. I'm going to put it on my heart. So I put it on my heart. And all of a sudden, all this wonderful energy, I felt my crown chakra expanding and my heart chakra expand. When I did that, I could see so much more that I needed to do with this family member, and the energy that was flowing through me was tremendous. When I removed the rose quartz, the crown chakra came back to its normal position, and I knew that my teacher was absolutely correct. And I talked to him about it, and I said, expanded my crown chakra. All this energy came through my body in tremendous waves to wash the energy field of my family member. And he said, absolutely, there is a principle in the universe that says the crown chakra will not expand until the heart chakra expands first. That makes a lot of sense to me. To have all that power flowing through you, you need that this expanded also. So it's a very wonderful, wonderful verification of that. This is my book. This is one of my new books. It's called The Smudging Ceremony, the Apache Guide to the Plants. But the reason why I wrote this book is I looked all over the internet and I saw that there was a lot of information about the smudging ceremony. But there was no information about where it came from, why the Creator gave it to us, and there are so many different categories to the smudging. You know, to use the smudging is, you know, the abalone shell with different kinds of dried herbs. And remember, herbs can be medicine that we can consume, but they're also medicine for our energy work and our spiritual practice as well. So I wrote a lot of the stories about the cedar tree and why the cedar tree gave us this medicine, and the sage and the chaparral and all of the different kinds of herbs. That there's even a medicine woman smudging ceremony in this book, which I really don't think that it's anywhere in the world right now that's written. So I really wanted to share a lot of the information about the smudging ceremony and how it can really lift a lot of the energy, because everything is energy, of course. We talk about the green nation, the plant kingdom, and why we use certain ceremonial herbs for the smudging ceremonies, and it's all in the book. I think it's on Amazon, and we have it at our office as well. And this is another book that I wrote on the Reiki Heart Blessing training book. And this is a wonderful book, not only for Reiki people, but also for people who are not Reiki, but always want to do energy work. And so that's really great. So I've designed it so you don't have to be a Reiki person to utilize the book to train you on how to do a Reiki heart blessing. And we use the knowledge that the indigenous people know, which is along the spine. We call that the column of light. And this is how we receive a lot of the beautiful universal life force that flows through us when we do ceremony and healing. And so this book has a lot. It teaches the person who is, reading the book to provide a Reiki heart blessing to a group, to animals, to plants, to themselves, and send it, distant healing if they want to do that. So it's a great, wonderful book for that. So these are all ways of stepping into our great purpose as well. So getting back to the Medicine Men, Medicine Women lecture, I want to just say that when we go inward, intention is very important to guide the energy of the mind, and also to ask for our wonderful spirit helpers to help us. They're with us all the time. We're not the only ones that have them. You have them as well. And also to work with the crystal kingdom, because they're around, and also the water kingdom. And so know that when we're in nature, we are the closest to the Creator. And when we close our eyes and we breathe in a sacred way, it means breathe like the wind, breathe like the trees, breathe like the water. We can connect with that wonderful place called the spirit world. So I thank you so very much for being with me.